at the end of my amateur career, I've always dreamed on fighting, fighting on those like big arenas, like lots of people. But I knew like when I first turned pro, that wasn't gonna happen. It was gonna be small venues and stuff. But but my goal was to go to the Olympics, and then so I finally qualified to go to the Olympic trials, and then like when I qualified, like I didn't even care no more. I really didn't even like. I didn't want to go. I mean, I wanted to win, but like I just wasn't like hungry for in the amateurs. I was tired of it already. So then I was like, after that, I'm gonna turn pro. Well, then we went to state again in March, and then same thing. Like, I still trained hard and stuff, but like the same thing. I wasn't hungry. Like, to me, of course I didn't want to lose, but at the same time, if I lost, I didn't care in the amateurs. And then I was like, after that, I'm gonna turn pro. And then they were gonna have the show here in Amarillo, like 3 weeks later. So I was like, I'll do it. I'll do my last fight.
The one with the elite,
yeah,
the elite fighting, yeah.
And I'll do my last amateur fight here in my hometown. They had me matched up, and then my opponent didn't show up.
Oh, is it the one where Roy fought that night?
Yeah,
he was a man.
It was like the pro-style amateur fight.
Yeah. I think it was last March in 2024.
Yeah. Was it him or Isaac that was the main event?
I think it was
Roy.
Roy.
Yeah.
It was Roy.
Yeah, and then so after that, I was gonna turn pro here, just locally, yeah, and then just work myself up. But I work at Big Texan, and I was serving this one guy, and then he's lots of people that go there are truck drivers, and he was a guy by himself. So I was just starting the conversation with him, asking if he drove a truck or a semi, and he was like, yeah. And then he pulls his phone out and tries to show me like his truck, and he's going like this, and then like he goes too far, and then he goes like that, like to show me his truck, and then like I seen like some WBC belts, so I kind of like I literally put my finger on his phone and I did that. I was like, what are those? He's all, those are WBC belts. But like I never seen them, so I was like, are they amateur belts? And then he's like, no, that's WBC. Like, I was world champion as a professional. I was like, oh shoot.
What was his name?
Juan El Vaquero Vasquez. So I was like, hey, I'm a boxer too, and I want to go pro and this and that. Well, then he tells me, he's all, I could help you, and then he literally calls his old trainer. His old trainer is Jimmy Montoya. And Jimmy Montoya he's an older man, but he's had world champions. He's trained a bunch of, I think he had like 15 world champions, and he's trained like, I think he worked with Julio Cesar Chavez and Nacho Camacho. Yeah, so he trained with, yeah, he had a bunch of older world champions, and so he called him up, and he's hey Jimmy, I have this kid here that I just met, and he's won Golden Gloves and he's won nationals and this and that, and he's ready to turn pro. And so literally I stopped working because he wanted to talk to me, and I sat down in the booth talking to him. Like, I literally stopped working. I stopped caring about all my other tables. I started.
Yeah, it's opportunity.
I started talking to him on the phone, and he's all, I'll give you my number, this and that. And so we got his number, and we started talking to Jimmy. And then I want to say this was in April or May, it was in April. And
Of last year?
yeah, of last year. So we started talking, and then he's like, hey, in June, the beginning of June, you're going to come out here to Arizona and we'll start working. So I was like, okay.
He just walked out of Texas.
Yeah. So I was all excited. And then, so we get close to the day of me leaving to go over there, and then he calls us and tells us that, he got sick and he was going to have surgery and this and that. So I was like, dang, okay. Well, then he told me to give him 2 weeks. So 2 weeks came by, and then he calls me again. He's like, hey, that he was going to have surgery again. And then he was like, but I'm going to talk to one of my fighters, my older fighters that I used to train. He's a trainer now, and then he's had a bunch of world champions. And then he tells me, he trained the guy that beat Canelo.
Oh, shit.
And I was like,
Dimitri Bivol?
yeah, and I was like, that was B-Ball. And then my dad was like, that's Joel Diaz. And then I think a couple days go by, and then he calls us again. Hey, you're gonna go to California to train now, and with Joel Diaz. And so when he told me that, I was like, dang, like that's crazy. Like I grew up watching him train a bunch of world champions, like Tim Bradley. He trained Tim Bradley when Tim Bradley beat Pacquiao. And Pacquiao's my favorite fighter, so I was like,
Shit, same
shoot.
here, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, he trained Mavrimov, the one that fought Terrence Crawford. So he's trained a bunch of guys. So I was excited to go. I went over there, and I was there for like a week, 2 weeks. And he calls Joel De La Hoya, which is Oscar De La Hoya's brother, because he's a manager. And he's like, hey, I got this kid, and he's really good. Like, come check him out. So he comes and watches me spar, and I sparred this guy. What'd they tell me? I think he was like 12-0 or 14-0. And I didn't have no pro fights, and they put me to spar him, and I guess I impressed them. So we started talking, and then they got me a fight, or he started texting me and talking to me, and then and then I was there in Indio, California, training for about 2 months, and then that's when they told me, hey, you're gonna make your debut in December. Also, I'm sorry, I went to California in August, the end of August, and then I came back at the very beginning of October. And then that's when they told me that you're going to make your debut in December on the Rocha and Curiel fight. So I was like, okay. So they let me come home, and then I went over there. I started training. I trained hard, and then, I'm away from my family, girlfriend, friends. I'm away from everybody. So, it just made me, hungry. And, I'm always like, I always like to laugh, bro. I can't look at somebody just... But when I seen my opponent, my face was like, I was just like, oh, I'm gonna hurt this dude. I was away from everybody because of him, It's what I was thinking, And I went out there, we fought, and I got a first round knockout. And so then that's when Joel De La Hoya, he sent me a contract, and he wanted to manage me. So we signed it, and then Golden Boy sent me a contract. But we didn't sign it right away. We, waited, and they got me another fight on the Oscar Duarte and what was his name, Miguel Madueño fight. So it was another big fight, and they got me on that one on my second fight. And after that one is when, I signed with Golden Boy, and so I was 2 fights in and signed with them. And so yeah, now we're just building it up now. So
and now you're 4-0, right?
4-0.
Yeah. Hey, great last fight too, bro. We see this shit, bro.
Bro, all your fights have been good, bro. No
bro.
glazing or nothing,
No
but all your fights have been good.
Thank you, man.
That's been good.
Hey, yeah, no, my last fight was my toughest fight, in my career. Well, I've only had 4 fights.